Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom out here. This is Naaman with the DC branch of Great Millstone. Back for another video. And of course this time, we're going to be talking about the JOOs. They're, well, it's no longer called influence at this point. They own America. And you're going to see what I'm talking about. And also, hey, your sister, the so-called black woman, up to it once again. First and foremost, call hello Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Dash. And once again, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, alright, who deserve double honors. Salutations also go out to the fellow Akim that are out there on the highways and byways, pushing the truth across four corners of the earth while trying to wake up the remaining hopefully like. Alright. So here what we have here is Jamaal Bowman. Alright, and he's the subject of this interview here. Man, we're just going to get straight to it. I'm not going to even, but hey, Genesis 3, all day, every day, you know. And it comes to a point where, if you're like me, and a whole lot of the other Akim from the apostles on down, you know, hey, if you're dealing with a so-called black woman and she's doing you right, consider yourself blessed. But that's a rarity. Alright, there's still my last video. I showed an interview with I think it was 5 of them, along with Ice Cube, and it was all about, you know, we want to separate ourselves from the black community. We want something for ourselves. And Ice Cube was like, well, you're part of the black community, aren't you? I said, well, no, we want, and that same feminist bullshit again. All right, you know, whatever. It is what it is, like they say. She wants to be on her own. Hey, bye, 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 bye. You know. But in any case, let's go ahead and roll this video. You're going to see why she keeps trying to get him to, and what he's saying is right on point, but you see she's trying to, she's got, well, you'll just see.
You know, AIPAC unfortunately has shown itself to be a racist organization, an organization that's supporting genocide in Gaza right now.
Whoa, those are strong comments by Representative Jamaal.
This is the Young Turks, by the way.
The strongest lobbies in the country. AIPAC, that's the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. Their job is to eliminate any U.S. politician who doesn't do exactly what Israel says. And in fact, it has to be the right-wing Israeli government that they all bow their heads to.
Yep.
I'm going to show you how they eliminate politicians in a second. But in fact, even the CNN host here, Abby Phillip, who later will be terrible in this interview, does in the beginning accurately lay out what they're about to do to Bowman.
I want to ask you about your re-election bid, where this issue is a huge one. You are being targeted by AIPAC, a pro-Israel group, and they've said that they are going to spend millions in your district.
Well, that's right. They're going to spend millions to try to eliminate it. Why? Because they're in favor of Jewish Americans, etc.? No. They've actually attacked Jewish Americans like Andy Levin. They spent $4 million against him. He's from a legendary Jewish family. He's a Zionist. He believes in Israel completely. He led his local synagogue. This isn't about anything related to religion. It's about a foreign government. This PAC says you must support Israel no matter what they do.
And that's another thing you have to make the distinction between them and us. Their whole thing is well, it's Judaism, it's religion, not that they are the Israelites. And unfortunately, people have been fooled into thinking that, well, it's one and the same. No, it never was. All right, because of, again, the biggest religion on the planet, white supremacy. All right, and people's ignorance, they got away for it. Ultimately, it's the work of the Most High. All right, that enable it to go this long because, again, we got a prophecy must be fulfilled. All right, but you look at it, you're like, well, wait a minute. Knowing what we know now, and it's like these people went to these churches all these years, decades, centuries, and it's like, this is how long this is allowed to, you know, to go unchecked. No, trust me when I say more people knew about it than we would probably ever realize. All right. Again, you're looking at white supremacy, and you're looking at a system. All right. You're looking at a people, the JOOs. All right, that use someone else's identity, namely ours. All right, shielded themselves with it to get away with horrendous crimes, get their way in the world, and that's exactly what they did.
ICE will spend millions of dollars against you and will eliminate you from American politics, and they're not at all shy about it. And so they did it to Andy Levin in Michigan.
Understand, this is a foreign government operating in America and are in complete. Don't fool yourselves into thinking otherwise, that they are not in full control. As unbelievable as it might seem, you're looking at the evidence of it. The Constitution has been a thing of the past for a while, in case you hadn't realized it, for you people out there, since 9/11. Alright, and if you hadn't realized that during this so-called pandemic that you had no rights, I don't know what reality you're in. You're sure not in this one.
They're threatening to do it to Jamaal Bowman, and all Andy Levin said was, "Can we?"
All because he dares to question these motherfucking criminals, murderers, extortionists. Hey, running a gambit of criminality right in people's face, and no one dare question, let alone do something, attempt to do something about it. Oh no, you got to go. Oh, this and one of these redneck fucks or whoever, one of these other Edomites, will have the nerve to stand up in front of you talking about, God bless America. We're all about freedom. And yet, this little nation of crooks, Amalek in particular, got them wrapped around their little pinky. Something's not right.
Treat Palestinians as human beings, and I love Israel, and I think a two-state solution is going to be better for Israel. They're like, how dare you? No, you must be against all Palestinian rights. And they found Haley Stevens, who said, yes, sir, absolutely, sir. I will serve the lobbyists no matter what, sir. So Haley Stevens will never, ever vote against Israel no matter what they do. And because that is what they're looking for. That's the point of these legalized bribes. So now that's two people already, Levin and Bowman, that they spent millions against. In New York, Yuleen New was a progressive. A group called New York Progressive all of a sudden spent $400,000 against her to try to help Dan Goldman get elected. It turned out afterwards, of course, they were neither from New York or progressive. AIPAC bragged, ha, tricked you guys, that was us! Now, they're doing it again, but this time in Oregon.
See, they're very adept at hiding. Alright? Very good at this. These JOOs. How to circumvent the laws, the rules. Alright? Hiding in plain sight, so to speak. All this money being spread around so they can get people in Congress. Another nation, again, a foreign entity doing this. And yet they want to complain, well, about basically anyone but these Israelis having influence. The last few years you've been hearing about Russia this, Russia that, but what about these motherfuckers? Who are for sure in your face affecting American politics, American elections. And they got people afraid to at least to say anything, like I said before, let alone try to do something. Motherfucker sold out. Motherfucker sold out. So we're looking at What has changed since 1913? You gotta answer. You gotta ask yourself these questions.
Oregon. In fact, they already did it. There was 2 primaries where there were very clear favorites. The problem was they thought Palestinians were human beings and they shouldn't be slaughtered. And AIPAC's like, how dare you? But now they know that if it's AIPAC spending the money in places that are near Portland, that is not a popular position at all. So what do? They found a PAC called 314 Action Fund, and they are supposed to be a pro-science PAC. The progressive candidate in one of these races was Shushila Jayapal. She's the sister of the Progressive Caucus chair, Pramila Jayapal. And so they spent $2.2 million against her. Why? Because she's against science? No, she loves science. Well, that's actually more money than that PAC spent in the last election combined on all candidates across the country. Well, Intercept broke a story from 2 Democratic congresspeople saying, no, it's AIPAC donors that are funneling their money through a so-called science PAC. After the election was over, they revealed who their donors were, and of course, it was massively pro-Israel donors that normally give to AIPAC but funnel their money through this science fund, including Michael Bloomberg, former mayor of New York, and including a guy who partly owns an Israeli cybersecurity company. He makes money from the bombs that we drop on Israel on Gaza through Israel. Anytime Israel is taking military action, that guy's making money.
There's no conflict of interest. There's nothing to see here.
Protect Israel in his own mind or in the right wing of Israel, but on top of that, he makes money when Israel goes to war against Gaza. So we have guys who own foreign companies pouring in millions of dollars to simply buy seats in America. This is all out in the open, but they weren't.
So see, this is for you people, and I'm talking about you jinx, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and whoever you are, especially Americans. You want to go along to get along type attitude. Well, like the scripture says, you can't stand up to this. How much more? Let me get it real quick. So I don't butcher it. This is going to be Psalms 94. Come on now. Here we go. What the hell? I apologize. Oh boy. Let's see. All right, here we go. Finally. Alright. Salakia for that. This is Psalms 94. Not again. Here we go. Alright, Psalms 94. And 16 it says, who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? Clearly we're talking about the workers of iniquity because we're talking about the wicked. Alright? Who's going to stand up? Who's going to do the right thing here? Like this guy, at least he's attempting to do, he's at least vocal about it. Yeah, these people are very racist. Alright? We should know that because they're responsible for bringing us over here. And I didn't stutter. Yes, the slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade. These motherfuckers.
We're done yet. In that same Jayapal race, another group came out, Voters for a Responsive Government, and they spent $3.25 million against Jayapal. Guys, you have to understand in the context of Congress, $5.5 million in one congressional race.
Once again, I apologize. I don't understand. For some reason today, the internet has been, in my area at least,
is an astounding amount of money. So I wondered, hey, are they for a responsive government? Have they done things in favor of responsive government before? No. They just opened up shop. They opened up shop one day after the reporting deadline so they wouldn't have to say who their donors were. And lo and behold, you're going to be shocked to find out that their donors, after the election was over, we found out we're pro-Israel donors. Of course! This is how you buy all of the American Congress. Now, why all of the American Congress and not just these? You think the other congressmen aren't paying attention to this? They see that if you dare defy Israel even 1 inch, they will eliminate you. Even if you're from a legendary Jewish family, even if you're for totally benign two-state solution, you have to be a Netanyahu right-wing zealot in order for AIPAC not to eliminate you. Why do you think they're inviting Netanyahu?
Goes to show, ultimately, who's really ruling. It's as simple as the golden rule. He who has the gold rules. And these elite banking families, guess what? They own the gold. They run this shit. You know? Wow.
But both the Republicans and the Democrats to speak in front of Congress, this butcher, the guy who's now killed over 36,000 people, including over 25,000 innocent women and children, a stadium full of women and children.
Yeah, they keep using this excuse, well, we have the right to defend ourselves. Well, that's everybody. What makes you so special? You know, and they make this argument, well, 1,200 people were killed on October 7th, but 36,000 have died in response, including like 25,000 women and children. What's your point? But people, again, let them get away with it. And they keep ignoring the international community's request at this point to stop. But again, who's really ruling here? And they're showing it. I don't give a fuck what you say. Because they know ultimately, short of someone physically putting a stop to what they're doing, whatever.
Children, this barbaric monster, they're all going to give him standing ovation after standing ovation. But we're not done yet. I want to go back to the Bowman interview, and I want to show you what Abby Phillips does in terms of media and how Bowman's fighting back. But one more person.
Remember Jeremiah 49 and 20, least of the flock, all right, is going to pull everybody in because they've gone to the cookie jar, so to speak, once too often, and they got caught. All right, everybody's seeing through the bullshit. Everybody's seeing through the you have to understand, people have seen this for a while. It's just that was the last straw. All right, they're tired of the bullshit.
So you should know about Jamie McLeod-Skinner, a really good progressive, also in Oregon. Well, she had one problem though. She was not sufficiently right-wing pro-Israeli Netanyahu government. So what do? The Science Fund spent about $500,000 against her. But they're like, wait a minute, in the Jayapal race, at least you were backing a doctor. You had some sort of maybe plausible claim that you cared about science in this race. The person that McLeod-Skinner was running against is a McDonald's franchise owner. What does that have to do with science? They're like, yeah, don't worry about it, okay? Just no.
Yeah, I'm going to skip forward because I think you get the point. Actually, I might as well let him go.
Not speak out against Israel. I mean, we're for science and responsive government. So
here we come up to where
is going to lay into them and to
how she interacts with
watch
them
the
now.
whole thing, and then I'm going to show you the horrible things that Abby Phillip did in the rest of the interview.
AIPAC unfortunately has shown itself to be a racist organization.
True.
An organization that's supporting the genocide in Gaza right now.
True.
And my opponent is partnering with them, even though the majority of their donors are MAGA racist Republicans trying to take our voting rights, trying to take reproductive rights, gutting affirmative action, and supporting fascism.
Again, super strong words there.
On
saying
point.
that AIPAC is supporting
Didn't say anything wrong.
Fascism
Watch
and
this
calling
bit.
them racist. That's strength. I love that from Representative Bowman here. But now here comes Abby Phillip. So look, why the politicians sell out AIPAC is crystal clear, and there's so many more examples. I mean, look, this giant amount of money: $5.5 million against Jamaal, $4 million against Andy Levin, and by the way, $4 million against Nina Turner. She had a 35-point lead in the Cleveland area. Chantel Brown, a candidate nobody had ever heard of. And you guys, there's this implicit way that they do this. Brown raised her hand out of nowhere and said, "I will support Israel no matter what." And lo and behold, AIPAC and its allies like Democratic Majority for Israel showed up. By the way, it's not Democratic Majority for Cleveland. It's Democratic Majority for Israel. So none of this is nuanced or complicated. It is brazen. You must support foreign
in your
government.
face.
Otherwise, we will
And you ain't gonna do shit about it.
Chantel Brown raises her hands and says, I'll support Israel no matter what they do. And she's delivered on that promise. And all of a sudden, $4 million magically pops up to help Chantel Brown defeat Nina Turner. So this happens over and over, and they drill home the message: you better not defy a foreign government, otherwise you'll be eliminated from American politics. So these are all facts. You can look them up. They are 100% clear. There's no question about it, and they partly brag about it. They don't mind me saying things like this. They're like, "That's right. I hope he tells everybody, those Congress people, they better never defy us. And if they ever defy us, we'll spend $4 million, $5 million, eliminate it." Does this look like democracy? Does it look like our representatives are serving us? But now we turn to media. Abby Phillip, who asked a good question in the beginning, now all of a sudden has 3 to 4 questions in a row, all trying to paint Bowman as an anti-Semite. Wait, he made some interesting and potentially inflammatory comments about AIPAC. Don't you want to ask him why he thinks they're racist? Well, don't you want to ask, wait, this is outrageous, so the couple of $1 million they're going to spend in your race? And nope, she then goes 100% to AIPAC framing. Watch.
Putting aside AIPAC, are you in part responsible for alienating your own constituents, many of whom are Jewish, and were very unhappy with how you responded to October 7th?
Do you see that trick? Oh, I'm putting aside AIPAC. This isn't about AIPAC at all. But golly gee, the things you said about your Jewish constituents after October 7th, it really made them worry. Wait a minute, first of all, he didn't say anything about the Jewish constituents, and you're assuming that they would be upset that he's not supporting the right-wing government of Israel, but a lot of Jewish Americans are actually really bothered by Netanyahu's government, so that's a weird assumption. And then she makes it seem like he said terrible things after October 7th, as if he supports Hamas. But Bowman clarifies later in the interview, wait a minute, no, you're referring to comments I made several months after October 7th. So why say right after October 7th? Because she wants to paint him as, well, I mean, this guy who seems to like October, what happened on October 7th? No, I'm not doing it on AIPAC's behalf, but you must answer for how anti-Semitic you are. That is the clear implication. But if it was just one question, you might say, hey, Jake, you're over-extrapolating here. Is it really the case? Watch. She does it again, and I swear this is a different question in the same interview.
Do you have any regrets about how you talked about this issue, especially in those early days right after the terror attack on October 7th?
Notice she doesn't talk about what AIPAC is doing to try to buy this race, even though she acknowledged it in the beginning. She now has turned around. Do you have regrets? It's your fault, isn't it? Look at what you said right after October 7th. You should have regrets. Oh, it's your fault. I can't believe it. Wait a minute. How many times are you going to ask the same question? After Bowman responds, she goes back and asks it again, implying as if Bowman is the problem, as if Bowman was the anti-Semite, and the poor little AIPAC just had to go out there and attack him and spend all this money. It is disgusting framing, and they do this almost every time in media. And since AIPAC is so toxic now, she then pivoted to, there's another group that's pro-Israel, J Street. And J Street's complicated. Sometimes I like what they do, and I think during this, offensive against Gaza, they haven't been nearly the moderates that they're supposed to be, and they've taken a very in my opinion, pro-Israel, pro-Netanyahu government stance. And so, as Bowman's about to point out, there's a lot of other Jewish groups that don't agree at all. but she takes the most right-wing groups and calls J Street left-wing as if they're supporting Palestinian rights in this case, and goes, well, isn't it your fault for defying all of these wonderful pro-Israel groups? So Bowman responds here. Let's show you.
Well, we condemned the attacks on October 7th immediately, and it wasn't shortly after October 7th that they unendorsed us. It was a couple of months, I think, afterwards. You know, I would like J Street to challenge AIPAC more and not be AIPAC light in Congress. So when you say they're left-leaning, I smiled, because there are other organizations like If Not Now, Jewish Voices for Peace, and others that are truly left-leaning and truly fighting anti-Semitism in a real way and for free Palestine.
Just to be clear, I mean,
so Representative Bowman points out wonderful Jewish American groups who are fighting anti-Semitism and fighting for rights for Palestinians, which makes sense. That's what we should all be in favor of, right? And what does Abby Phillip do? She goes right back to, Jamaal, let's be clear though. I mean, and then again she sets up a question that frames Bowman as an anti-Semite, even though he just said he's partnering with groups that fight anti-Semitism. Because it doesn't matter what Jamaal Bowman says.
Those strings.
It's all in the framing, it's all in the questions. So why the media does this is more complicated. In the past, the media was 100% pro-Israel, no matter what. If you step 1 inch off of that position, you'd be called an anti-Semite. These days, it's more complicated. Jeremy Diamond and Clarissa Ward on CNN have done brilliant reporting from Gaza, and from time to time other networks allow some decent reporting, and New York Times and Washington Post from time to time have had good reports. But overall, the groupthink of media is what Abby Phillip does here, which is, if you oppose Israel, I'm never going to focus on the millions and millions and millions of dollars they spend, obviously, buying these elections. I mean, that's what do you think the $4 million is for? What do you think the $5.5 million is for? And in a local race for a U.S. Congress seat, that amount of money guarantees victory for one side. Guarantees it. But she doesn't care about that. She's not focused on it. She mentioned it super briefly in the beginning, and the rest of the interview was, well, how do you answer for yourself, you goddamn anti-Semite? Okay, how dare you oppose Israel right after October 7th? Are you supporting Hamas? October 7th, after October 7th? Oh, Jamaal Bowman. I mean, aren't you worried about your Jewish constituents? Come on, man. The framing is super obvious.
Yeah, because actually what they did, and it was the Clinton administration, I believe it was the first one, let's see, 96, about thereabouts, that, what did he do? Something about, had to do with journalism. And now what you have is basically 6 companies that control like 90+% of the news that you get. All right. So guess who controls that? All right. This is why it's so hard, because again, controlling the narrative, and it's slipping from them. And that's why you see this like desperate attempt, and it's becoming more and more. They can't keep it hidden anymore, is what I'm trying to say. Alright, so it's just, hey, it's the times that we're in. Alright, you're seeing your enemy fall before your eyes. For those of us that are paying attention, of course. Doesn't look good. Let's see a little bit more here.
The other outlets like Politico, when they were talking about 314 Action Fund, they never clarified that it was AIPAC donors funneling money into this so-called science fund. They never explained, oh my God, they're spending more money in this one race than they've ever spent on an entire election cycle. They hide all of those facts from you, and still, I would say the overwhelming majority of American media feel it covers the issue as if Israel is obviously right, whatever the IDF says is true, and so the Palestinians, okay, maybe we say, oh yeah, let's cosplay empathy. While we care so much about the poor Palestinians who I just showed you on tape were burned alive, and if I don't say I have some sympathy for them, I'm going to look like the monster that I actually am. So I'll pretend to have sympathy, and then they turn back around. Are you saying you don't agree with Netanyahu's position? How dare you? Are you an anti-Semite? Oh, of course you have to continue the bombing. They had no choice but to defend themselves. So look, the media is more complicated. It's groupthink on a massive level. It's been going on for decades. If you step outside of what Israel wants, you will be smeared as an anti-Semite. There's an overwhelming chance that that'll happen. So when when you're politicians, think about it, guys. Are you going to be brave enough?
It's never about the truth. It's in protecting this cabal of criminals. All right. Again, like I said at the beginning, so they can have their way in the world and be as unopposed as one can be. But again, we're at the end here. So all this is being exposed. You know, 2 Thessalonians 2nd chapter, many other scriptures. All right, it's time for this devil to be exposed, and it's happening. He can't plug up all the leaks. All right, everything's out there. It's like Hillary Clinton said during her run against Trump. All right, at that point she said they're losing the information war. All right, so all the damage really, because a lot of their power is in the fact that they were hidden. All right, behind the scenes, nobody, that conspiracy theory shit worked. It's not working anymore like that. All right. So that's, but you got like, let's see.
To say, you know what, I'm going to take on Israel's position because it's just too many dead people. I mean, my heart was broken over what happened on October 7th. 1,200 people dead. Now, but we've got 36,000. That's 30 times the number of people, including
but their lives aren't
30
important.
times the number of civilians killed in Gaza as opposed to Israel. No, if you do that brave position, you know that they're going to try to eliminate you. They're going to spend anywhere from $500,000 to $5.5 million against you. That is a near guaranteed loss, especially if you're a new candidate, like the McLeod Skinner or Shashila Jayapal or Yulin New, etc. If you're an incumbent like Jamaal, because of your name recognition, you still have a chance of winning. And I think he's got a shot at winning here. But he is being incredibly brave. Are you going to take that on? Are you going to take on almost all of American media? And some brave souls do. But outside of those brave souls, whether it's AOC and Jayapal and Bernie Sanders and Jamie Raskin, and even on the right, Tom Massey, etc.
Bernie Sanders is one of them.
Over 90% of Congress, the House, I think about over 85% of the House, voted on a bill to make criticism of Israel illegal. In America! It's outrageous! The language in there is so broad that it could apply to almost any criticism of Israel. And they're like, that's right, you should
and that was done intentionally.
Unless you're criticizing that foreign government, in which case, why would they vote for such an outrageous law? Jerry Nadler, another legendary Jewish American representative from New York, voted against it. And it was like, what do you guys...
And again, you have to realize how many are in high positions here in America. All right? Who was that? The interview? Damn it. He right up showed them because they were trying to get, you sound anti-Semitic. Oh, damn, I can't believe I forgot the guy's name. I can't remember, but he, on his phone, he pulled up all these executives and who they were, these various entities and who sat on that head of the boards and all this, and they were all, what they have all in common? Jewish. So it's not a conspiracy theory. All right. Again, there we go. So again, they're being exposed. All right. They're being exposed, and it's a good thing. It is a very good thing. All right, because now they're desperate. You can't put the genie back in the bottle like the saying goes. All right. It's out there. You're frauds. All right. You're not the people of the Lord. You never were. In fact, you're the opposite. Hey, so with that, you can watch this like a little less than 2 minutes left, but the point's been made. We got a bunch of sellouts amongst us. Hey, the woman. But like I said, he handled that. He was real cool, calm, cool, and collected. All right, he didn't trip. And again, it made her look more desperate and trying to make, a point for who's pulling the strings, but her strings. That is beautiful. Beautifully handled by Mr. Bowman. All right. Hey, so with that, once again, this has been from the Young Turks here. Jamaal Bowman faces off against biased CNN host, and clearly she was biased, and he handled it very well. All right. So once again, I hope whoever views this is edified, and you have to be aware that it's only going to get worse from here on out. All right, because the plans of these wicked elites, all right, they're going to have to act and very soon. All right, because they are way behind in trying to establish achieve their goal, and establish their new world order. All right. So with that, until the next video, hey, shalom.